Let's talk herd.
And then I published my book.
Oh, did you?
So that was the other fun thing. This was the one that I created, and that's Indy, my thoroughbred, and then of course that's Pepper on the back.
Wow.
But it's Your Horse Believes in You.
That's so cool.
Thank you. So that was a big deal. So now I'm kind of like taking a moment to just take it all in, you know.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what would you say? Do you have quite a wide range of different people coming to you? Or does it tend to be one sort of demographic?
I have a lot of riders that have either had some kind of injury or a long break in between riding and they want to get back to it. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is riders that are on the older side that just need to go slow. and I'm really good about that. And I remind people, if they're ready for something, wait like 2 more times and then do the thing they think they're ready for. Like I'm very clear about reminding yourself to slow down. Yeah. And then I've got students all over the world now. So they're in Europe, Australia, the US, a little bit in Canada. So it's been really fun to see it.
Yeah. That's great.
Start to expand. And I'm really proud of that. I'm just grateful to be able to connect with so many people and their horses.
Yeah, because one thing that I've seen is that since I think since people are waking up a bit to their horses and they feel like, you know, the traditional ways aren't working for them, but then they often feel like they have to completely back off and do nothing, you know. And then it's become this thing, hasn't it? Non-ridden. You know, there's groups on Facebook and it's a whole thing, like I don't ride my horse. And it's almost like there's a sense of having to justify that, which I don't think you have to justify, you know, your choices. But it almost feels like sometimes it's just because there isn't but, you know, people don't realize there's an in-between and it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yes, that's my thing. It's like you got to do what feels right for you and your horse. So Indy has clearly told me he does not need to be ridden, which is cool. Pepper's like, let's go do fun things. I'm like, that's cool. So, but on his terms. And I think it's so important, like we said in the beginning, it's like, don't get stuck on one guru. You've got to focus on what feels right to you and what feels right to your horse.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but it's wonderful to learn from all the different perspectives, of course. But I also caution people not to get sucked in and make themselves feel guilty about stuff. Like that's something I'm adamant about. I get really annoyed when people are made to feel guilty for their own choices and what their heart's telling them. That upsets me. So. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I think I've noticed that as you know, even in myself, I've noticed that I've got a habit, and I think it's maybe just a human thing that, like, for example, the other day, I can't remember if I've said this before on a podcast, but I was with Karamba, my sort of the youngest mare in the herd, and she gets worried about the hunting around here, and sometimes she gets a bit, you know, she's just not as relaxed as she could be, and she just sort of said to me, it was really clear that she was asking for me to just help her to center and ground and just, you know, get back into that really relaxed place again. Because the others are really good about it, and especially her boyfriend, little Rafi, he just stays completely relaxed. But she just couldn't find that place, and she asked me, and we just stood for, you know, not very long, just like 5 minutes, just really pushing through to that. It felt like really possible for me, and I don't know if that's partly because she was opening a space for it, but it felt really possible to go into this deep sense of peace. And actually, when I think about it, that's changed a lot of stuff around the hunting for us, but I won't go into that right now. But anyway, so I sort of, after that happened and she calmed right down and she started to sort of relax her jaw, and then she just started to graze, and that was fine. And I instantly think, you know, that's it. That's what I always should be doing. You know, it was just my mind just like running into that. like that's the answer, I'm always to be the ground. And then just on the heels of that, I'm like, well, no, what you actually did was have a dialogue, and she asked you to do that specific thing, and it might, it's going to be different every day. But I think that this is a trap that we tend to get into, and we it has to be this way, so we've kind of come to this point in our riding or in our training, and we understand certain things, and so then we just make up these rules about it, like that's how you do that, and then you make a course about it, and then you write a book, and you just it's then you've got to stick to that way because you've told everybody, or you told yourself that that's how it is, and you have followers, and so I mean, I personally haven't actually done that because I'm always changing, so I don't, it's like I don't really I always feel the opposite, that I've not actually been able to, I think what you're doing is amazing because you've made it into something that you can offer to people that's very universal, very it wraps around their situation, and it's very unlimited. Whereas I feel that I haven't really been able to sort of solidify it like that. But that's fine because I feel like it's more like about research anyway, and it's not quite the same. But I do feel like that can get us stuck, this, just making this box for yourself and then having to live up to it, and then having followers, and then how do you get out of the box because all of those followers now believe in your box, and and I think we need to that's something that we're kind of evolving beyond, I think.
Yeah, I think I appreciate what you said. For what I'm doing now, it's shifted a lot. I was looking at, in January, I noticed I had my Inspired Riding page on Facebook for 13 years.
Wow.
And I've been saying the same thing since then.
Yeah.
I've been saying, trust your intuition, listen to your heart, listen to your horse. And so it was kind of refreshing to go back and look at some of those posts. I haven't changed much. I've just kind of expanded.
Yeah.
So I always look at whatever you believe in, it's a foundation and it can be changed. And that's the beauty of life. It's all a huge experiment. So you can create rules, you can change the rules. And, and then you have to realize it doesn't matter what people think, as long as you believe it feels good to you, then they'll either accept it or not. And that's up to them. And so that's that book, The Four Agreements. That's one of my favorites. It's you can't take anything personally because everything that happens is because of what they're projecting from their life, So the key is to just keep following your heart, keep doing your own thing, and go lean into what's really lighting up for you. So just this year, I'm I need to take 2 days off. Being self-employed, it's you feel like you have to work every single second of the day. I'm you know what? This is not working for me anymore. I'm going to take Sundays and Mondays off because Saturdays my clients still want to ride and take lessons. So I was this feels good to me. And it was a little weird this week, just taking Monday off when I'm usually go, creating content.
Yeah.
So you just have to keep, chiseling at it, shaping it the way you want, and literally just brushing off whatever might be bothering you.
Yeah.
And that includes, the humans on social media that have their opinions, and everyone's going to have their opinions. So you might as well just keep tuning into what feels good to you and your horse.
Yeah.
I sound like a broken record, but it's the key for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just keep learning. And the more you stay open, you see all the books I've got here, I keep pulling out random books and opening up and go, oh yeah, that's what I need to focus on today, and it's so fun. That's where the inspired action comes from.
Yeah.
I literally looked over and I grabbed a book and I read the entire thing. Where is that one? Oh my gosh, it was so good. It's over here. It's called The Go-Giver, not The Go-Getter, The Go-Giver. And I read it in one evening.
You told me about that. I just read it.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful, this little story. But it's very powerful. So it's things like that. I totally forgot I had the book and someone had recommended it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So if you just stay open, that's where life starts to get way more fun, because then you're let yourself become surprised. I was telling someone the other day, when I was a little girl, I knew everything that was in my room. It was I was very aware of everything. And so what I would do is sometimes I would take a little box and I'd take a couple of things and I try to like hide it in the closet. So like in a month I'd see, oh, look, I'm surprised by something. And now that just happens naturally because I can't remember what I've got. So I organized my office last month and I went, oh my gosh, I forgot I have all these things there. Oh, I have all these books, you know. So I kind of manifest that as I got older. But that's the beauty of life is you just get surprised by things you already have. And that's the thing. You already have all the answers inside you. You just have to like play with it some more, you know?
So true. That's why we love presents so much, because we just don't know what, you know, it's the potential that's so...
Yes.
And I think the less limits you have, like the more you take away the rules and the expectations, then the bigger a space there is for potential. And that's why it gets so fun, like, because you go to the horse and you don't know what, you know, anything can happen today.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's never boring.
Yeah, it's a good book that I read that, The Go-Giver.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very, I think it's quite a sort of fun, it's a fundamental concept, like this thing of sharing, and that giving is, it's almost like as you give out, you receive in, and it's like a cycle, it's like a natural flow. And we do tend to get a bit stuck because we think that if we're giving, we're not receiving, and we don't give, and then we, you know, or we give and we don't receive, you know. I think that's a thing that a lot of us tend to be conditioned with, that if we give all the time, then we're just going to get, you know, empty, because a lot of us do give a lot because we want to. But actually, you just have to remember that you can receive as well, you know, that receiving is good, and, you know, and allow yourself to receive. Because it's a lot of the time, it's not because there's not opportunities, it's because we don't let them in, because we don't feel like worthy, or, you know, whatever it is. I was just gonna say that after I read that book, I don't know if it was because of that book, I had a sort of dream, a kind of memory, because I do feel a bit of sometimes lack of self-worth, I think. And I had a memory about, because when I was a small child, like it was at school, it was primary school, so I was probably like 6 or 7 or something. I was super confident as a child at nursery school, but then that changed going into school, and I had a teacher who, she just didn't like me. I don't know if I represented something that, like, because I was a bit of a sort of wild, I didn't represent whatever the perfect child was to her. And she kind of, I realized from this dream that every single thing I tried to do, like my brother won this prize for the school prize, the athletics prize. I mean, it wasn't really a big deal. It was just kids. There was like 4 sort of different, whatever you call it, types of thing that you could, like, there was the racing and there was this and that and the other. And I really wanted to win that. That was like a really big deal to me, to win this thing. And I went all out and I won 2 of them outright because I was a really fast runner. And then the other 2 were like things that I wasn't so good at, but I still did pretty well in them. And the teacher somehow managed to make it that I couldn't win it. I didn't win it. And I was sure that I had. And then there were other things that she just kept, and she, you know, she used to do this trip to the pet shop, and there were like 30 kids in the class, and we went like 8 or 9 times, and she could take like 10 kids each time, and I never went. I was never chosen to go, and I could figure out in my head that I should have been able to go, you know. So that it was just like this constant, and I realized that had really affected I felt like whatever I did, no matter how hard I tried, and no matter how, even if I was right, like I used to do really well in the spelling classes, but she told me, oh no, you spelt that wrong, even though it was right. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous. But, you know, it just affected me. It made me think it doesn't matter how good you are, you still won't succeed. And then, but I didn't want to look at it and say, okay, that's shaped me and that's that. I wanted that to be right. That's
Yeah.
That's why, maybe. That's a why, a reason. But that's over now, and I don't have to.
It's not you anymore. And that that's exactly what I do in the hypnotherapy sessions is we go through the past scenes and then you understand it, understand why they came up and understand why they're running this old programming in your subconscious mind. Because your subconscious is always recording everything.
Yeah.
So it's whatever you attach meaning to things. So if you have attached meaning to, oh, she didn't let me go to the pet shop, or she was always so nitpicky with me, there must be something wrong with me, right? So that's underlying.
Yeah.
So what you have to say is, that's not me anymore. She was being not a kind human.
Yeah.
I know I was a good kid, and you have to just own it and shift that and realize I don't need that in my life anymore.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've already recognized it, which is huge to know that, oh, I had this memory. There's something to it here. So that's amazing. Some people aren't even aware of it.
But I feel like it's important that what I wanted to do to be able to change it from just being this litany, like this kind of thing that I kept giving energy to. So I thought, actually, you've got to make friends with that teacher now, and just have a different feeling about it, so that when I think about it, I'm not just giving it momentum the whole time and making it, because then it just keeps replaying and replaying. And I think that's what we tend to do. Like, oh, look, this is the reason. And then the reason it fixes everything that can then happen.
Hold you back.
Because, like you say, it's not, it was just a story at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing I've learned now is you can either give them compassion or you can choose to be indifferent. And what we've learned is indifference is actually better to focus on than hate, because hate is not the opposite of love. It's actually indifference. So when you just neutralize the feelings towards it and just be like, whatever, focus on what really lights you up, then things will start to shift. Or you can simply just send love to the situation, do the Ho'oponopono Hawaiian forgiveness ritual. You know the 4 phrases?
Yes. Yeah, maybe just repeat them.
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you for all the lessons. Things like that.
Yeah.
And then that helps release that energy.
Yeah.
And I do that to the horses. We did that once to Indy when he was colicking, and he actually jumped up and he was like, I'm good now. I was like, amazing. Whoa, that was powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you for sharing that with me. That's a huge thing to understand. And once you understand it, then that gives you the power to understand what you want to do with it next.
Yeah, because the thing was, I knew about that. I hadn't forgotten it. And I used to I realized if ever that something came up that was, that had anything to do with that, I would tell the story about, like I had this horrible teacher sort of thing. But I wasn't seeing it from the perspective of how it had influenced me and why I was holding on to it. So it's almost like you can tell the story of what was done to you, but you need to tell the story or acknowledge what you felt about it and then let that go. It's almost like shifting from it being like something that happened to you that you had no influence over, to becoming that actually it was something that you needed to grow from. So you attracted it. Like I attracted that on some level, maybe so that ultimately I could understand that nobody else could define me. It's me that defines me, and I was defining me. It was almost like I was taking her opinion of me and making it my opinion of me. And so, it is powerful to make that shift, I think.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just what we focus on.
Yeah, I love those enlightenment moments.
Yeah.
So what else have you been doing with your horses lately?
So we've we've been having a bit of a... One thing I did realise, one thing that's interesting, I kind of discovered was that there's this really magical time in the energy around dusk. Like just when it's kind of, when the sun's going down. And I never really, I suppose...
Golden hour.
Yeah. And I found that when I'm with the herd then, it's just so... it's almost like it's less fixed, like reality. Because I find it a bit challenging what I want to do with them, because I feel like it's not there yet. It's not in manifested reality. So sometimes it feels a bit difficult, like a bit claustrophobic. I don't know if that's the right word, but like I don't want to force it, but then also, you know, how do you find a way through? And that time of day is really, it's almost like the veil is much thinner, and so I've been having some really wonderful kind of just sort of more of a meditation, and just discovering what I think of as creating vibrationally. So just focusing on our oneness, and I want it to manifest as us, you know, riding together. But it's not really just about that. That's one way that it can be implemented, but it's more just our so I'm trying to find words that aren't the same old words, you know, that are always used, but it's this feeling, and something I've noticed that's come into them recently is that, or that I sense in them, is this, what the word harmlessness. Because it's like when I look at them and when I scan them energetically, I kind of imagine often how it would feel to be on them, you know, and to be invited on them, and when I think there's, I mean, I don't know how much of it is how I feel about them or my preconceptions or anything, but sometimes there's just this sense of, you know, like it just wouldn't feel that safe, or it wouldn't feel that kind of possible, or what I imagine. And but this new harmless feeling is coming, and it just feels like they feel really safe and really comfortable and really, really attractive and nice. Because I had a dream. I'm trying to think if I've said this before, because I don't want to be repeating things, but it was a mare that belongs to, she's actually my mum's horse, and she's so she's not in my herd. And I don't know why it was her, because she's quite a character. But in this dream, I was riding her, and we didn't have any equipment or anything. And she was plunging and charging and like galloping about, like really wild. But I was totally with her. I was just like stuck on and connected, and it was amazing feeling. And I woke up thinking, this can be done. This is it. And also with the sense that that's what they want. They don't want to feel that there's any strictures or any what's the word? Like limitations on how they can move and how they can be. And if there's a way of connecting with them that can just literally stick you on so that you're not in any danger when you get connected in that way, that then you can experience everything. You can experience what it is to be a horse. So yeah, that's kind of where I am, but none of it's really manifesting that much at the moment in terms of actually going there and doing that. But I just feel like it's closer and closer all the time. So I'm just, when I'm in my alignment, when I'm aligned, I feel like it's closer and closer. When I get out of alignment, I start thinking, oh God, you're just making it all up, and you know, it's never going to happen, and you know, or maybe I'm just too scared, or I'm just not, I don't have the confidence, or you know, maybe I'm not pushing it enough. But that's when I'm out of alignment. So when I'm in alignment, I feel like it's all perfect and it's almost there. We're just almost there. And yeah, so that's where I am.
So you can start asking your intuition what would make it feel like you're there.
Yes, that's very.
So you can start shifting the story to, instead of we're almost there, like, hey, we're there. I'm just taking it one stride at a time.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to focus on that. Yeah.
And it might mean, hey, maybe you need to do some more cross training. Like, I literally started doing some Pilates. I've done yoga for many years now, and I added Pilates to it specifically for riders. Yeah. And in 3 weeks, Pepper could feel the difference in my body, and his movement has opened up. And I'm like, whoa. This is like a whole new level, because my awareness of my body, and I'm able to really get to my glutes and my core in such specific ways now.
Yeah. It's
huge. So this is where I'm starting to play with little subtleties. Like if I just move my body back just that much more, he's like, oh yeah, we can go.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't done that, if I had stayed stuck, he wouldn't have gone. It's like having the handbrake on. You know, so it could just be literally like you just need to find more ways in your body to feel so like like Wonder Woman. And then when you get on, your horse is like, yeah, we got this. Let's go charge things like in your dream, you know?
That's so funny that you say that, because today, for the first time, I did this dance routine thing.
Oh, cool.
Because I have been doing yoga, and I do this yoga burn. And it is quite active for yoga, but this dancing was like a different, it was more, it's like the coordination that really, and the energy of it. So yeah, maybe that is happening. Yeah,
dancing is amazing. The first time I did a future focused meditation, I don't know if I already mentioned this, but I talked to my future successful self, and she was like, go start taking Zumba.
Wow.
Start doing Zumba. Did I tell you about this yet?
No, that's so cool. I don't know if you talked about the future thing either.
So that was the only thing she said.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had signed up. This is years ago now. I'd signed up for a program called Quantum Jumping or Quantum Leaping, one of those. And it was through Bert Goldman. And he was one of the founders of the Silva Mind Institute. Right. So I started doing this meditation of just going to connect with my future self. And I actually added it in one of my meditations, which is in my app. And so what you do is you connect to your future successful self and just believe that there are multiple versions of yourself if you believe in that. And then you just connect to your most successful self that you want to connect to on an energetic level. Then you can ask for advice. So I asked, the first time I ever connected to future Beth, I was like, what do I need to do to feel better right now? She's like, go start doing Zumba. God. I'm like, Zumba? That's so weird. Like I used to take dance lessons as a kid. I did jazz and ballet. And I'm like, how am I going to do Zumba? I'm really kind of self-conscious. I don't know if I want to go to a dance class And then sure enough, the next day I got an email, Zumba for the Wii system, the Nintendo Wii system that my client had just given me that week. So I ordered it. And I got this belt that you put on your waist, and you put the little controller in, and you get stars every time you get your dance moves right. And I became obsessed. I was doing it every day, and my body started feeling better. I got more confident. And next thing you know, I'm like looking for an event horse. And I never thought I wanted to do cross-country jumping. And I found an older event horse, and he took me through green as grass, just 2-foot jumps. And I was like, I can't believe this is me now. And I really opened up all these possibilities just from that one meditation, go do Zumba.
That's amazing.
So you just never know. That's the element of surprise. You know, when you open yourself up to all these possibilities, it just ripples out. It's really fun. And then I can teach people about it and create meditations and see what else happens.